Live from Ann Arbor, welcome back to Yost Ice Arena for some University of Michigan hockey. I'm Vihaan Easwar, your play-by-play voice of the night. I'll be joined by Max Wood on color commentary. Number 2 Michigan takes on Minnesota in its last regular season home game of the season on senior night. And apologies for the very quick start because we have puck drop underway. It is TJ Hughes for Michigan, the captain, who wins the face-off right to Tyler Duke, who then kicks it across the rink to senior forward Josh Ernessy from the face-off line. He's going to take a shot, and that is going to go wide.
It's a big matchup today for Michigan. They really didn't like how that game went yesterday. Really disappointing looks for them. Going in, ended up winning 5-1 last time, and now coming in down, losing 4-2.
Absolutely. As TJ Hughes, the designated faceoff taker for Michigan, takes the faceoff and loses it to the Golden Gophers. But he's going to go all the way in for the check on the board, looking to make the life of Minnesota forward Turner Lidke just a little bit more difficult than it needs to be, as Michigan with the puck back in their own defensive zone, as Hughes kicks it all the way wide to his fellow senior on senior night, Luca Fantilli. Now, Fantilli tries to get a stick puck, that's going to get flipped back the other way, safely collected by Michigan starting goaltender Jack Ivankovic. As Ben Robertson kicks it to Cole McKinney, as Michigan looking for a breakthrough right past the blue line. Dakota Ray Mullen collects it just past Michigan's blue line. He's going to kick it to Ben Robertson to his left, as that was a puck played for Cole McKinney, but just with a slightly heavy touch to it, and now it's going back the Golden Gophers' way. As Gophers forward Brody Zemer tries a weak shot, as Adam Valentini for the Wolverines picks it back up the other way, and that not even going to get counted as a shot. That was too weak to be noted of. Michael Hage with a nice bit of defensive play to try and force the steal, but unable to kick it back the other way as Minnesota sends it all the way, and we're just kind of seeing the puck sort of like aimlessly flitting around the rink for these first 2 minutes of game time. Hughes looking for an out there, kicks it into the crease, deflected off the pads of Gophers goaltender Luca DiPasco, as Michigan is going to get the puck in off the first deflection. Michigan scores as a shot from somewhere right to the left of the faceoff circle is bounded in by senior forward and captain TJ Hughes to open the Michigan lead. The Wolverines score less than 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, the initial chance there came in. Jaden Perrone standing right in front of the net had a chance on it, got tied down by another Minnesota defender's stick, and then the puck ends up going back out to TJ Hughes, gets a nice little shot, ends up on the right side of the net. Go up 1-0 for Michigan.
As Aiden Park takes the face-off for the Wolverines, Michigan up 1-0. If you're just listening in, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending your Friday evening with us for Michigan's senior night against Minnesota. If you're a UM student tuning in, you've made it through the first half of this occasionally difficult winter semester, so have yourself a great spring break, starting off with some Michigan hockey. As that puck looks to be getting marked for icing there. Sort of played way up the rink without really any sort of direction.
Michigan wanting to live on this even strength, this kind of even strength power that they have right now. Last game, not a lot of penalties between either team, only 3 total. So even strength hockey, a lot of the time, they really want to be able to lean on that and not have to rely on that power play percentage.
As Aiden Park will take the face-off of the Wolverines, which he wins, as that is picked up by Luca Fantilli to Park right by the logo. Park drifting past the blue line, plays the puck forward. Minnesota gets the check-in to recover the puck on its own end. As another puck from Minnesota that just kind of arcs outward, not really in any direction. And that is going to be called back for what could be an offsides call. Or, let's look at the replay, but there's umpire blows his whistle, see something he doesn't like there.
The face-off going down.
Yes, that does look like an offsides, and the face-off is going to go the other way. It would be Keenan Draper taking it for the Wolverines, while Jimmy Clark for the Gophers and that is going to go the Wolverines' way. As Draper kicks it to Shifsky, who finds Ben Robertson with his back. As Garrett Shifsky throws out a check to ring the puck loose. Gets kind of stuck on the edge of the boards before it gets kicked out right to Dakota Ray Mullen, sophomore defenseman. As Shifsky picks up that puck right by the face-off circle, was looking to find Jaden Perron, or I believe Ben Robertson, right by the blue line, but without fail. But to no avail, as that puck is going to slide harmlessly back Michigan's way. Ray Mullen taking it through Michigan's defensive zone. He's looking for Michael Hage to his right. That puck is going to go deep into the Gopher zone. Michigan just punting deep there. Freshman defensive Asher Barnett now was looking for Valentini right between the two face-off circles. That goes nowhere. Barnett. Is Michigan kind of struggling with the Gophers' pressure at the moment, as being forced to sort of just punt it deep. As Michael Hage picks it up by the face-off circle, finds Barnett by the blue line. Valentini, Hage inside the zone. Hage shoots much wide of the net. Still Michigan's puck though, as Hughes from right about the center of the blue line. Back to Hage, who stumbles upon a little bit, but it's recovered by TJ Hughes. Hughes kicks it wide to Josh Ernessy, as Nick Moldenauer now in the face-off circle manages to pick it back up, as it's going to fall out to Tyler Duke, defenseman by the blue line. He's going to shoot it, and it's going to hit a Gophers defenseman the other way, and that's going to end a promising string of seconds for Michigan. You're seeing great forechecking there.
Whistle blown ends a really long stretch of Michigan possession. That was a really long shift for the guys. Found a lot of success there, but just couldn't find their shot on the net. Only a couple ones heading out wide.
As face-off, Keenan Draper taking it for Michigan, ends up going Minnesota's way. Managed to punt the puck deep in the Michigan zone as Luca Fantilli plays cleanup. As Fantilli was looking for Draper, he just can't quite get the puck off. As that was a turnover that could have been a nasty odd man rush. As puck still falls the Gophers' way, but Keenan Draper comes in there trying to get hook up. Still Gophers' puck. Is Begley shoots from just by the Coca-Cola Zero Sugar logo right to the far left of the blue line, right into Jack Ivankovic's glove, and we'll see some movement on the ice for both teams.
Ivankovic really being what the start of the season, this team really leaned on Ivankovic being great. Now coming back after this injury, he's kind of leveled off a little bit, regressed to the mean, and they really want him to be stepping up.
As face-off taken by Eden Park, recovered by Michigan. As Malcolm Spence by the boards. Puck goes back the other way as Robertson to Ray Mullen to Spence, who can't quite get out of harm's way as it falls to Luke Mittelstadt. As Mo for the Gophers now pinned to the boards. Park throws out a check on Mittelstadt to lodge the puck loose. As Mittelstadt sends it to the boards. Robertson to Barnett, as we see more movement on the lines for both teams. 6 minutes in the period, Michigan up 1-0, if you're just tuning in. As we see some movement by the boards. Looks as though there's going to be a call for possibly offsides, as it looks like as the ref calls the face-off just towards the fringe of the neutral zone, a little bit closer, although much closer to Minnesota's than to Michigan's, as that's going to be McKinney and Clark. McKinney will the Wolverines' other face-off specialist. Face-off goes Minnesota's way. As Gophers now with a bit of a strength puck. That is a shot that that arcs right behind the goalpost. Ivan Kovic seems to flinch a little bit, but that was coming nowhere near him. As Tyler Duke manages to wrestle the puck loose. As Asher Barnett with a bit of movement that sends Jimmy Clark onto his back. As Tyler Duke right behind the net. Is Duke carrying the puck. Fantilli. As Fantilli, with a man on him, can't really do anything other than punt that puck loose. Michigan turns it back over to Minnesota's. LJ Mooney finds Brody Ziemer on what looked to be a dangerous breakaway attempt, but freshman defenseman Drew Schock just managed to get a little bit of speed to him. As puck bounces the other way for the Gophers. Now Minnesota with it in their own zone. As Schock was looking for Luca Fantilli, ends up being a little shy of the puck, but gets out of harm's way nonetheless. Moldenauer now by the Bolts. Boards can do nothing but punt it deep. Draper on the chase for the recovery. As Robertson from the blue line picking it up to Draper. Shifsky to Ernest. As Shifsky tries to wrestle the puck loose, is called back for something on Luke Mittelstadt. As looks like we're going to get a 2-minute tripping call on Keenan Draper for something that happened in the build-up to that attempt. Michigan's going to go on the penalty kill for the first time in this game.
Yeah, the penalty kill for Michigan, not one of the best parts of their special teams. You always talk about something like the power play. Both of these teams' power play is really great. And Michigan's penalty kill really didn't do great for them yesterday. 1 for 2. You say that's fine. But you can't have that whenever you're going up against a team like Minnesota, who's great on the power play. Both of these teams second and third, respectively, in power play percentage.
Yeah, to contrast that, Minnesota Golden Gophers actually 63rd of 63 in penalty kill percentage. The worst penalty kill in the entirety of NCAA Division I hockey.
And maybe those Minnesota Golden Gophers can lean on their goalkeeper for today, Luca DePasquo, who's really had an excellent last few games against Michigan. A lot of big save numbers going up. He's got 47 saves in the first game against Michigan. Going up against last game, he had 35. And then the game before had 42. So a lot of shots seen, not a lot going in usually. So that's definitely the mark of a guy who's really consistent in that.
DePasco, been sneakily one of the better goaltenders in this conference. The transfer from Michigan State, who really did nothing of his own volition, but only happened to be backing up the best goaltender in college hockey in Michigan State and the Detroit Red Wings, Troy Augustine. As that faceoff is going to go Michigan's way as Ernest punts the puck way deep to get it out of harm's way. Michigan's penalty killing unit at the moment: Luca Fantilli, Tyler Duke, Josh Ernest, and Cole McKinney. So that's 3 seniors and a freshman. As Minnesota with the puck, as Tanner Lutke maneuvering dangerously around the crease, but Ivan Kovic is able to get a foot out to keep him out of getting what he wants, as Michigan will just dump that puck back into DePasco's direction, as about 1:20 left on this penalty kill for the Wolverines. As now Luke Mittelstadt kicks it to Ziemer, who finds Mooney, who finds Tanner Lutke, with Minnesota putting out some of its best, some of its brightest offensive talent on the penalty kill. Lucky from between the two face-off circles, right in the center of the zone. Michigan puts out just enough pressure on him for him to not get the shot that he wants. Puck dump the other way again. Less than a minute remaining on the penalty kill. About 10 minutes left in the first period. As Minnesota from the blue line, as Paulson is looking for more, as Barnett and Ben Robertson kind of get in there, kind of trying to dump the puck deep, as Josh Ernest scored a couple of shorthanded goals on the penalty kill earlier in the season, most notably against Providence. Managed to get the puck just out of harm's way, as still Minnesota, although Ernest throws out a stick to dislodge it. Puck finds Hendrickson right by the crease as the closing second of the penalty kill elapsed, and Michigan is full strength, having successfully just killed off its first penalty of the game. Puck kicked back the other way to Keenan Draper. Draper finds McKinney. Audacious backhand attempt to pass to Hughes, as Hughes sends a dangerous puck into Draper in the crease, but Draper can't get out of the way just in time. Stumbles, falls a little bit there, as Minnesota's puck pinned deep inside their own zone. As puck gets loosened up, but floats harmlessly back to Ivan Kovic. Recovered by Schock. As Schock punts that deep right back in the hands of DePasco. Moldenauer tries to wedge it loose. Fortunately caught in a bit of a pen. As Hughes by the face-off circle. He's back to Ray Mullen. Ray Mullen maneuvering around the logo in the blue line. Ray Mullen with a deep arcing shot there that Hughes seems to deflect from right about the edge of the crease. As Ray Mullen with Robertson to Perron. Hughes getting there, trying to get the pick up, no good. As puck goes back Minnesota's way. Just 8 shots to 6 so far. As Dakota Ray Mullen does that check that allows star center Michael Hage to recover it. Picked up by Malcolm Spence, Hage's childhood friend from Mississauga, Ontario, where my parents used to live. As Horkoff throws out a check. As Horkoff now on the 4th line for tonight, a reflection of some of the scoring struggles that he's had after a red-hot first half of the season. As puck finds Malcolm Spence maneuvering on the edge of the crease with a dangerous attempt there, no good. Still Michigan. As Barnett tries to find a puck to his left, down to Hage, just operating just on the edge of the crease, no good. As less than 7 minutes remaining in the first period, Michigan 1, Minnesota 0 for those of you just tuning in. As Barnett kicks it to Duke. Dumps it behind DePasco's net. Minnesota recovering. Ernest tries to get in there, lobs the puck loose. As Draper gets a stick to it, manages to make Clark a little uncomfortable. As Fantilli gets behind Lidke. As Fantilli caught by 2 Gophers. As Schock wedges the puck loose. Schock looking for Garrett Shifsky by the boards. Shifsky picks it up with his hand, kicks it, looking for somebody on his left, skates right into the board as Aiden Park manages to get to it. As McKinney, now Park. Still Park from the face-off circle. Park kicks it to his right to Ray Mullen. Rightly safe into the gloves of DePasco, but a great shot there, representing just another stretch of play where Michigan can just get their hand to the puck.
Michigan been really dominant in terms of possessing the puck, moving around Minnesota. Minnesota's passing hasn't really worked out for them on 5-on-5 ice time. When they've gone into the power play, they've looked successful moving around, but even that penalty kill for Michigan was really strong. It could be used as a tone setter for the rest of this game.
Absolutely, yes. Michigan outshooting Minnesota 10-6. Starting to find a little bit more of their rhythm in the second half of this first period. Still up 1-0, 5 minutes, 42 seconds left on the board.
It's been a game of gliding around the ice. Not a lot of looking in to try and get in front of the crease. Been kind of shots that you're taking are a little bit further out, going wide, not really getting into the goals. We've only seen this puck get stopped by a goalie taking it maybe, 3 times?
Yeah.
Yeah. A little Zach Brown band going. At least I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. Chicken fried by Zach Brown man. We actually were just served some chicken that wasn't necessarily fried, but was fry adjacent here in this press box. Orange chicken with rice and chow mein. Shout out to the cooks here at US Ice Arena, delivering a luscious pregame meal for our broadcasters and writers every single game.
I wasn't one of these people who got to feed on the chicken today.
You were
Spots.
you were allowed to.
I could have, I guess.
But you chose a 6-inch Philly original, which I can't blame you for that.
It's pretty good.
Very good decision. If any of you do want a cheesesteak, go to Angelo's in South Philadelphia. Highly recommend. It's the best cheesesteak, probably the best sandwich that I've ever heard. As we're back out of the timeout. As Robertson finds Park by the blue line. Dumps that puck deep. As Michigan's pinged that up the other way as Asher Barnett kicks it to Jaden Perron, who finds Robertson who finds Hughes again. Arcing shot there, doesn't quite go really in any direction. As it seems like there's something on Minnesota's at that the umpire doesn't like, as that's going to be a tripping call on the Gophers from left wing LJ Mooney. Michigan is going to get a chance to display what Brandon Nerado considers pride and joy. Nerado's a power play specialist. Let's see how special his power play unit is going to be tonight. It gave Michigan one of its only 2 goals of the night last night, as Hughes with another arcing shot, as Perron finds Hage by the faceoff circle. Hage was looking to dump it back to Perron, but there's 2 Gophers on him. As Hage back to Perron. As Perron drives one in from deep, was looking for somebody to bundle it by the crease. You saw a couple of Wolverine skaters there, but no can do. And Malcolm Spence! Right side of the crease, right by the post, catches DePasco on his back door open. Michigan scores! 2-0 Wolverines.
It's a really nice look by Perron going out to Malcolm Spence. Just a quick 1-2 there. Malcolm Spence right by the backside of the goal. Just gets to tip it in. You'll never see an easier goal. Really did a great job working the ice there. I think that's really indicative of how great this power play is for the Michigan team. They got that and worked it within maybe a minute and a half of receiving that on-ice advantage.
Absolutely. And like I said, Minnesota with one of the worst penalty killing units in the entire country. Michigan with one of the best power play units in the country. That's where you see Michigan exploit that mismatch. The Wolverines now lead 2-0.
That's definitely what we would call a mismatch. It's like going up against Victor Wembanyama versus Muggsy Bogues type mismatch, maybe.
Or it's like, we had that whole 100 humans versus one gorilla debate back.
Gorilla?
It'd be 1 gorilla versus 1 human. I do believe that 100 humans could beat 1 gorilla, but 1 human versus 1 gorilla, that'd be as bad a mismatch as Michigan's power play versus Minnesota's penalty kill.
I think on that debate, I'm definitely on human side there. I feel like 5 humans could definitely stand a chance against a gorilla.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, gorillas are big. Yes, gorillas are strong. But at the same time, I don't think people understand what the scale of 100 humans is. I think, as you said, if we just get a battalion of humans to just coordinate their attack, hold down the gorilla at once, and just knock him loose, I think the humans have a chance of winning that fight. As we bring you back to the world of the game, it looks like that goal is being reviewed. Likely because Malcolm Spence could have been in an offsides position. At least that's what it looks like from our vantage point. But the offsides are reviewing it. Michigan staring at the screen with probably some apprehension. The children of Yost looking a little wary, a little bit of a "what's that?" reaction on their faces as "Beer Never Broke My Heart" by Luke Combs blares out of the speakers at Yost Ice Arena.
And much like beer itself, it seems that took away a lot of their worries there, enjoying themselves.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for everyone who's tuning in. For those of you who are tuning in, I want to hear your opinion on this very important matter. What's the smallest number of humans that you think could take down one adult-sized, fully grown silverback gorilla? Let us know your thoughts in the stream below as we wait to see whether or not Malcolm Spence's goal will stand. From our position, it looks like it's offsides, but we can't be assured of that until the review comes in.
Please take into account we said silverback and not western lowland.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
As we see a replay of the goal, it is Hughes who wedges the stick loose to Michael. Hughes wedges the stick loose through a check to Michael Hage. As we see full sequence of play there. I'm not exactly sure what is being overturned here, whether it was the initial pickup from Spence that set up this Spence and then Hughes that set up this entire play, or if it's Spence in and of itself. But whatever the case is, we will let you know the results once we see whether or not this goal will be overturned. From our vantage point, it doesn't look like there's anything egregious enough to clearly confirm that it wouldn't stand.
You would have to think if a review takes this long, it would reach the point where it might be inconclusive.
Indeed. Normally, if you see a review coming quickly, it's...
Looks like we're still waiting on a decision right now.
Is your love tonight? As we see the goal taken away from the Wolverines, as it looks as though Malcolm Spence used his hand in the pass rather than just to steady the puck, which would then validate the rulebook that is going to end that is going to put Minnesota back on the penalty kill, but take the goal away as it is Michigan 1, Minnesota nothing.
And that spot didn't look egregious to me whenever I watched, and you should see them zoom in on the board, and it just didn't really look like they were moving that much.
As puck finds Spence in the face-off circle, but he's dislodged of it. As we see the ref blows whistle for something else on Minnesota, and it looks as though we might see a 5-on-3 power play for Michigan. As Minnesota is going to see another 2-minute penalty added. This one is going to be on number 22, defenseman Cal Thomas. As we'll see just what this is for, but now an already weak penalty kill is going to have to continue its attempt at killing off penalty with just 3 men now. As Cal Thomas's penalty is going to be called for interference, and that is going to give Minnesota back just a 1-goal deficit instead of a 2, which is more workable for the Golden Gophers. As Perron finds Hage, who kicks to Horkoff. to Spence behind the net. Back to Horkoff by the boards. Back to Spence. Horkoff. To Perron. Back to Horkoff. Now to Perron. As Perron with an arcing shot from pretty far outside the zone, just kind of orbiting right about by the blue line, center of the zone, as that's going to go right into DiPasco's glove. As Minnesota with 43 seconds left until Mooney can return to the game. A minute 20 left until Thomas can.
Yeah, Michigan really slow and methodical there on that first possession. I'm sure we'll probably see a little bit more extra shooting coming in once we get down to the last 10 seconds of this first penalty coming back off the ice.
As Molnauer finds Ray Mullen. Kicks it to Spence on his left to Molnauer from about right by the right face-off circle, looking for Spence. Back to Ray Mullen. Back to Molnauer as Ray Mullen was looking for Perron Park right by the post, as Park can't quite get the wraparound in. That's going to go back Michigan's way, as Minnesota managed to at least briefly get it out of danger, but not so fast, as Michigan defenseman Ben Robertson, scooping around the goal, finds Moldenauer by the boards. Kicks to Ray Mullen by the blue line. Moldenauer to Ray Mullen. Puck slightly overplayed. As 30 seconds left on Minnesota's power play. Michigan will definitely rue not being able to. If that overturned goal is all that comes out of this power play for the Wolverines, you would think that they'd definitely be ruining their inability to score on this power play, especially against a weak penalty killing unit. As Ray Mullen back to Hage with just 8 seconds left on the power play for Michigan. As Hage handling the stick, Hage sweeps down the boards, kicks it to Schock at the boards. Hage scooping back into the face-off circle, picked up by Fantilli, and that'll end Minnesota's power play. Michigan will come away with nothing other than an overturned goal from that, as Schock kicks it to Hage, as that is going to saunter behind the net. As Minnesota now with Lamb on a rush, as Fantilli throws his body right in front of the goal to prevent any danger from coming to that. Picked up now by TJ Hughes, flying down. Hughes keeping it himself. Hughes is going to take the shot himself, and that's going to bounce it right into the pads of goaltender Luca DiPasco. As Michigan now outshooting the Gophers 14-6, as they've really started to open up play a little bit. It's just a question of a goal.
TJ Hughes had a nice little breakaway there, but we go back to that power play opportunity that the Wolverines had. 5-on-3, they can't come away with a goal up against what you said, the worst statistical penalty kill in NCAA.
Indeed.
You can't have that when you're trying to come back from a game that you just got upset. You can't have that.
As Barnett looking for a puck, as turned over and says Zemer now takes a snipe that bounces right into Ivan Kovic's pads. As Middlestadt with a shot that arcs. Middlestadt with a shot that arcs right over the net. Still Michigan. As Duke finds Ernest. Back to Ray Mullen by the blue line. Robertson. As less than a minute left in the period, as Ray Mullen carries it. As Minnesota dumps it back to Ben Robertson. Bouncing off McKinney's stick into the Gopher zone. Ray Mullen. Back to Spence. Back to Ray Mullen. McKinney by the logo. As Molnauer trying to break it loose by the boards. Back to Spence. To Duke from the blue line. Fantilli to McKinney skating around the edge of the zone. As Spence looks for Molnauer to get open inside the crease, as he stumbles. as McKinney tries to lodge it loose. Is Minnesota still keeping the Wolverines from getting anything done? The buzzer sounds, and that'll do it for the first period as Michigan is up 1-0 against Minnesota. We have a period where Michigan has generally looked the better of the two teams, but might rue slightly that power play, that inability to capitalize on a 5-on-3 power play. Max, what are your quick thoughts for the first period?
Well, it definitely started off pretty slow for both teams. A lot of skating around, not a lot of getting shots off. But Michigan kind of started, once they got into that first power play, working their way around, trying to get to the post, trying to get those back in from behind the Sens goal. Malcolm Spence, we saw him get that goal negated for the hand pass, but coming out from the post, trying to get those easy put-ins. And we saw another chance for Park, and Park just couldn't handle the puck when it got to him. Definitely both great chances if they hadn't had their own issues with them. And I definitely see Michigan improving on their way through the game. So I definitely could see throughout the rest of the second period, or at the second period as it starts now, Michigan could be putting more pressure on this Minnesota team.
Absolutely, yes. And who from the Wolverines has really impressed you so far on the night?
I think it's really been TJ Hughes. Has been working his way around the ice pretty well. He had that one breakaway that we saw coming off around the last 4 minutes ish of the first period, and he's worked his way around the ice. He had the one nice attempt at a little backhanded pass, try to get it across the ice. Didn't really end up going anywhere, but it definitely worked out. It's definitely been working his way around the ice pretty well and been commanding the team.
As with that, we are going to briefly take off the headsets for a little break. We'll be back with about 2 minutes to puck drop. I've been Vihaan Easwar. He's been Max Wood. You've been listening to WCBN Sports, and we'll be back with the second period very quickly. Welcome back to Ann Arbor. Coming out of the intermission, still Vihaan Easwar, still Max Wood, still Michigan hockey versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Still Michigan up 1-0 as we are coming back to you just in time for puck drop of the second period. Michigan up 1-0 after a solid, if a little unspectacular performance. 20 minutes of hockey down, 40 more to go right here on WCBN Sports.
Yeah, lone goal scored by TJ Hughes coming up. He's also 3-6 on the faceoff, and he'll be the one taking the faceoff right now.
Faceoff taken by Hughes. Won by Hughes, but then batted the other way by Minnesota. Back into Ivan Kovic's paws. As Fantilli tries to clear it out. Bit of a miscalculation there as the pass tapering back into Ziemer. Ziemer's pass could have been a little bit dangerous there for the Wolverines, but crisis averted as that is going to saunter back to Ivan Kovic as we see a first set of line changes of the game.
Yeah, both teams probably want a fresh start after that first period. It's a little slow. Want to really get back into the flow of things, work their way through the ice, really get their passes down, because it was a little sloppy at the beginning of that first period.
Yeah.
You remember a lot of turnovers on the passing.
As Robertson picking up by the boards, Ziemer throwing out some pressure there to shake it loose. Picked back up by Hage. Back to Robertson. Back to Hage. Hage with the snipe that saunters right behind the goal line as Robertson picks that back up, but DiPasco deflects it. Back to Robertson. As Hage throws himself in there trying to shake Lim loose of the puck. As Minnesota sends it back. Hughes. Back to Hughes. As puck goes back there a little lucky. As Duke goes out of check. As that puck bounces into the crease. Michigan can't dispose of it in time. And that is going to be a goal for the Golden Gophers as it falls right into the hands of Minnesota's number 27, Javon Moore. As that's going to tie things up at 1-1. As Moore perches himself on the edge of the crease, receives a pass from Clark, who was swinging around the other side of the net, boundles that back in, ties it up. Michigan 1, Minnesota 1, and the Wolverines unable to clear the puck, unable to safely dispose of danger, and they're going to pay the price for that there.
Yeah, it's really too bad. Had a nice start there. Michael Hage put in a good shift right before that, about a minute before, but a nice little pass there, and Javon Moore's right in front of the net, right in the crease. He's going to get that easy shot off.
As Ernest, to Shock, sends it around as Shifsky from behind Minnesota's net, looking for Draper. Minnesota pretty comfortable on the puck there, as the Gophers send it the other way to Paulson, as Michigan sort of caught a little off there with only two men there to defend Minnesota's zone rush. As Michael Hage throws a check there on middle shot to lodge the puck loose, as Perron now is Hage falling right below the crease, I think preparing to send that to the goal, but the puck doesn't come his way. Still Michigan does. Hage saunters back to pick it up. Back to Perron. Is Hage knocked loose. Perron now coming back with the shift to go and bring it back. As now to Robertson by the boards. As Robertson takes it back to Perron. Spence. Hage with the snipe that arcs above the goal. Ray Mullen picks it up. Back to Robertson. Robertson sends it way around the net, hoping that Hughes would pick it back up. Spence recovers to Hughes behind the net. Hughes behind the net as McKinney comes in trying to get a second behind the crease. Still Michigan as Tyler Duke fires in a shot. McKinney tries to get his stick to it. No good as Spence rings it back. Puck still floating around the zone as Minnesota recovers. And now it's Zemer on a breakaway with Barnett. Barnett to defend him. Barnett throws him out of position. Back to Duke. Michigan recovers the puck. As Hughes sends it back the other way to Barnett. Barnett to Horkoff. As Horkoff lets that shot get through. Sails wide right of the goal. Kind of back and forth so far. Shock with a deflection into Zemer. Puts his hands up, thinking that he's going to be able to pick it up. No can do. Michigan recovers the puck.
So Park will be offsides there, maybe.
Yeah. As that's going to send it the other way. As
it looks like during this period, the puck's really been teasing Michael Hage. I've seen about 3 different chances he's had where it's maybe about a half second behind where he needs to be, or maybe an inch away from where he needs to be to get that nice shot off for the goal. It's a lot of deflections just going right to him.
as Minnesota now, as Middlestadt shoots, looking for Lucky behind the crease, and Michigan have a couple of men in there, but Minnesota still having a little bit more time with the puck than they would like, as Ray Mullen bundles it up the rink, was looking for Earnesty, pass gets misplaced, turned back into Minnesota's hands. As Earnesty, back to Shifsky on the breakaway. Shifsky can't quite line up the shooting velocity with the speed that he's moving at, and that's going to arc wide of the goal.
Yeah, Michigan moving a lot better on the O-zone right now this period. Gotten a lot of good possessions to get around in front of the net to get decent looks for shots. Haven't really seen any go in yet, but I think it looks a lot cleaner than it did last period. Right now.
Absolutely, yes. Michigan out-shooting the Gophers 17-10 with about 6 minutes elapsed in this first period, in the second period. As face-off won by Hage. Back to Spence, curling in a shot from the blue line into the pads of DePasco. Picked up by Barnett. Barnett to Hage from behind the goal. Hage being bundled up by Paulson. Paulson as Spence picks it up, bounces off of DePasco's pads. Back to Barnett. To Spence. Back to Barnett. As it's going to be another offsides call for Michigan, as Michigan kind of, I think, moving with a good amount of pace, spreading the puck around a little bit, just not quite able to time their shots at the moment.
Yeah, not really getting where they needed to. You saw that one long one out of Malcolm Spence, just ended up going straight to the DePasco. You can't really have that whenever you're going for those long shots, even if you do have that kind of power. And then we just saw it there with Tyler Duke just going off sides and then not being fast enough to get the puck back in before it goes back off to behind the blue line.
As that faceoff is won by the Gophers, who send it to the boards looking for an outlet there for Middlestadt. As still the Gophers is Whipple around the Michigan Medicine logo. Tries to send it into the crease. It's called back, as that's going to be Michigan's puck. As that puck is recovered and picked up by a lucky Michigan fan who is going to raise it in celebration to fans. He's going to take his place back in, and he gives it to a kid.
You know, it could be senior night in 2 ways.
Phenomenally put. Would not have thought of that myself. Just phenomenal work. 10 out of 10. No notes. As that face-off is, we see McKinney stumble a little bit, but he manages to lodge it loose. As Ray Mullen and McKinney both putting in their best effort to lodge that puck loose. As you see Mo, New Jersey Devils prospect, shout out, Mason Mo gets a shot up. Not really threatening in any way, pretty easily caught by Kovic, as that's going to end Minnesota's spell of position to Wolverines puck.
Minnesota shot selection might be worse than the Wolverines right now. They're still working on their ozone, and they really just don't find any looks the way they've been pressured.
As Hughes takes the face-off. As we see that shot from Minnesota's Gruba just go wide, fall, puck send harmlessly back into Wolverine hands. As Barnett kicks it to Duke, who's looking for Hughes, sends it back to the Gophers. As the puck is going to bounce off the stick of Zemer to go back for the Wolverines. As Michigan throws out a check there to lodge the puck loose. Gruba fires wide of the goal. As Michigan now puck going back Minnesota's way. About 12 minutes left in the second. As Clark gets to it on what looked to be a breakaway attempt, but he's pinned just outside of the zone there to wrangle the puck loose and send it back the other way. Picked up by Duke. Off the boards is aimed in the direction of Draper, but then wriggled away by the Gophers, as that looked to be more score of the goal with a audacious shot that could have arced somewhere that could have made trouble for Michigan, but Ivan Kovic knocks away with one hand Wolverines puck. As Spence just punts a puck deep. Now Minnesota's. Ludke. As Ludke dumps it off to Whipple from his back door. Whipple not going to get enough time to put the space between himself and Ivan Kovic need to shoot. It's going to be Michigan. It's going to be another face-off attempt. As right now, both teams neither team really kind of accumulating a lot of motion at the moment.
Yeah, not a lot of heavy momentum either way right now. I mean, we saw Michigan really coming out the gates looking great at the start of this second period. Now it's kind of leaned more Minnesota way. A lot of pressure coming in over, but not a lot of shots getting taken off. We just saw that last one going on to Ivan Kovic. Ivan Kovic makes a good save. He's looked really unbothered, honestly, with the way that Minnesota's gone up to him. It's not like he's got knocked off his rocker for anything.
No, Ivan Kovic has played a huge role in winning Michigan some of its biggest games on the season, most notably against Penn State a few weeks ago, in which he managed to deny Gavin McKenna, his teammate and good friend through their time spent with Canada at World Juniors, in the shootout to hand Michigan a 4-4 shootout victory. That now that Michigan, having stumbled a little bit against Minnesota, that game might come into slightly more elevated importance than initially thought.
Yeah, Michigan coming off of two kind of disappointing losses when you look in the grand scheme of things pretty recently. Wisconsin and Minnesota both could definitely spell out how the season could end up going if they end up making Frozen Four.
Yeah, Michigan has been a wagon for most of the regular season. Maybe a little bit less so the last 2 weeks of growing pains, 2 upset losses in the span of 2 weeks. Still maybe nothing to be particularly worried about, but just worth noting. As the face-off is going to be Cole McKinney on we're seeing a change at the face-off taker for the Gophers. Cole McKinney versus Tate Pritchard for the Gophers. as Michigan taking it their way. The Wolverines haven't really have kind of really been defending their own castle in the last few minutes with 11 minutes left in the second period.
Another stoppage.
As Minnesota picking up another 2-minute penalty there. There's going to be a minor. Let's see who this is called on, what it's for. It's going to be Michigan. I believe it's going to be on Cal Thomas picking up the second penalty of the game for what could have been an interference. As Thomas' penalty is going to be for high sticking, which gives Michigan a man advantage for the next two minutes as the Wolverines look to capitalize on their latest power play opportunities. Michael Hage with some nice stick handling there. Didn't just really have the space to get a shot off.
So Michael Hage, this has been his period to have something happen. It just hasn't happened so far. I think something's going to click on this power play, I bet.
Is that announcer's jinx?
I wouldn't call it commentator jinx. You know when they called the first home run?
Yeah.
Second level, bottom of the second inning?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's something closer to that, you know?
You would hope.
I'm going to call it. And you know what? If it doesn't happen, I'll put $1 on it. I'll give $1 to whatever NIL funds the people want.
Yeah, comment on the chat which NIL fund that you would like Max to donate his $1 to if Michigan does not score on this power play.
As is Michael Hage.
As this face-off is going to be T.J. Hughes versus Clark. Michigan wins the face-off as Hage kicks it to his right to Perron. Perron to Horkoff. Perron to Horkoff. Horkoff tries to get the shot off, deflected. Horkoff to Hage. Back to Perron. As Perron tries to get the shot off, deflected. As Spence on the outside of the crease with 3 Gophers on him, tries to get it off. Puck dumped the other way as we now have about 50 seconds elapsed, close to a minute elapsed of the penalty kill for Minnesota. As now Minnesota tips the other way as now a full minute has elapsed with about half of the second period left to play. As Hughes to Robertson, back to Hughes. Back to Moldenauer by the boards. To Hughes. To Ray Mullen. Back to Moldenauer. Finds Park. Back to Ray Mullen. Finds Robertson. Finds McKinney. To Ray Mullen. Back to McKinney. Back to Moldenauer. To Ray Mullen. To Park. To Robertson. Back to McKinney. As Robertson. To Draper. Still Michigan. Extended time on the puck for Michigan as Ray Mullen from the edge of the blue line. Kicks it wide right to Ernest, who shot flies off. It's Draper. Back to Ernest. To Barnett. To Ray Mullen. Ray Mullen. Back to Ziemer. For Minnesota, the Gophers getting their first shift on the puck, what feels like a while. Michigan having an extended period of touches that date back to the power play, not really able to make much out of it, as is going back the other way to Ernest. Back to Hage. Back up by Horkoff. Back to Duke. As Whipple throws out a check on Hage to lodge it loose. As Horkoff tracks back to it, gets to it. Horkoff kicks it wide to Spence. As Spence all the way back to Horkoff, Michigan being forced out to the boards here. As Hage. As Minnesota manages to lodge the puck back. As is now recovered by Michigan as Duke behind Ivan Kovic's net. Kicks it wide to Ernest. Back to Perron. Back to Barnett. Back to Duke, who dumps it the other way. As Moldenauer. Back to Schock. As Minnesota gets the puck back as Pritchard goes the other way, shoots it out in Kovic, and we see our first real scuffle of the game as Tepper start to fire a little bit. A couple of punches being thrown between Luca Fantilli and I believe that is Beckett Hendrickson for the Gophers. As you know, it's been pretty even-keeled game so far. The penalties have just been tripping calls, but you see a couple of punches thrown, a couple of angry words exchanged there between Fantilli and Hendrickson.
Yeah, frustration getting in there. We even saw TJ Hughes kind of work his way in at the end there. Everybody kind of coming in to help support their teammates. Not that big of a move there, especially that Michigan power play there again. A little bit disappointing in the way they worked around. Couldn't get it done again. 1-1 staying. They've got to be frustrated about that.
Yeah, and you're seeing Michigan's. This was supposed to be the matchup of the game. This was supposed to be the one that Michigan would be able to exploit the most. Michigan's power play versus Minnesota's penalty kill. You're not really seeing Michigan take advantage of that today.
And I will say my $1 will go to the first NIL, is said in the comments.
Well,
Whoever said anything.
Kurt Cross commented hockey NIL.
Well, I guess it's going to hockey NIL. So somebody look up whatever that is. I'll donate my $1.
Well, unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be a fund itself, but there's a couple of options, a couple of different funds.
I'll throw it on the ice at the end of the game.
Cool. That's great. Fantastic.
Somebody will pick it up. Somebody will pick it up.
It's a little tip for the Zamboni driver.
Yeah. Whoever wants to go grab it. Any of them are pretty important, you know.
Yeah.
Snow shovel crew. Come on. Come on. Anybody.
Yeah, 6 minutes, 26 seconds left in the second period here at Yost as we zoom out of the timeout with Cole McKinney taking on Eric Paulson for the face-off. McKinney stumbles a little bit, but Michigan managed to gain control of the puck as we see Michigan try and dump it forward. That's backed up by Minnesota, who are now sending it the other way. As McKinney wedges that puck loose. McKinney taking it for himself on the breakaway, looking for Park, not quite able to get the required speed to dump that back. As Fantilli. Back to Park. Back to McKinney. Picked back up by Hughes. To Robertson. Robertson who skids that way around the ice. It's Hughes. Finds Ernest. Back to Ray Mullen as that is picked up by DePasco with one glove as Michigan. Yet again, you're seeing extended stretches of time with the puck, not really anything coming out of it.
Yeah, it's just continued kind of poor creation on the Michigan side of the O-zone. Really just can't find the right side. They got to try and get more cross ice looks, I think. They had a couple attempts where they're trying to move cross ice, and then they just can't find their target for the passes. So passing really could need to tighten up a little bit, and I think you could see a lot better options here. Try and make DePasqua move a little bit more from
Yeah.
pole to pole.
As face-off here, you're going to see Will Horkoff with the dot, I think, for his first face-off of the game. As Hage kicks to Spence. To Robertson. As Zemer gets a stick to it, looking to connect with Mooney. That puck is instead going to be dumped back Wolverines' way. Michigan not able to fully clear it, as Minnesota still managed to get to it, as Zemer now being pushed to the boards by Robertson and Fantilli. As Malcolm Spence at the breakaway now gets ahead of the defense. Malcolm Spence at the breakaway, he connects, he scores! Michigan has the lead back. Malcolm Spence makes up for his denied power play goal early in the game. Michigan is up 2-1.
That beautiful real cut through by Malcolm Spence gets through the two defensemen and just break away. There's nobody in front of him. That's an easy move into the net. Just finds that corner. Great goal, and that's really makes up for that one that he missed out on because of the hand pass that they called earlier.
Yeah, Spence just gets that extra step of speed to get the jump on the two Minnesota defenders on the breakaway. Puts the Wolverines up 2-1. With less than 5 minutes to go in the second period.
Assist coming from Michael Hage, so I'm gonna count that as part of my look into Michael Hage's big day. I'll still donate my $1, but
maybe you could just throw in like 50 cents down on the ice. We'll give you an out for it. As the puck going back Minnesota's way. As the Gophers being plugged out to the boards. By Michigan. Still Minnesota's puck. Michigan kind of forcing them out wide, not really giving them much space to do anything. As Moldenauer tries to get a stick to it, it's Minnesota's puck again. As Asher Barnett throws in a pretty physical check there to lodge it loose. As Josh Ernestey comes in to collect, kicks it Aiden Park, back to Ernestey, now to Draper. As Michigan's standard fourth line is now on the ice. Park. As Fantilli. Minnesota now puck going the other way. As we're going to try and poke it out as Shock tries to get the stick tapped out, as that is going to be gloved by Mkovic. As Michigan still, as the Wolverines still looking, solid defensively, structure holding up. Minnesota having plenty of the puck, not really having much to do with it. As we have less than 3 minutes to go in the second period.
Shot differential stayed about even to where it was in the first period. We saw 25-17 right now. It's about 15-7 at the end of the first, I believe. So kept up about the same pace, both of these teams, in terms of shooting.
As Michigan trying to chain together a breakaway, but a bit of loose puck security there that makes things a little bit dangerous there. Puck not being able to clear it in time. Minnesota is going to capitalize, as I believe that is Beckett Hendrickson who capitalizes on a shot from Javon Moore. Ivan Kovic not able to glove it in time, bounces as the Gophers tap it in, tie the game up 2-2. If you're Michigan, the sample size from these two games, not necessarily something you really like at the moment.
Yeah, you don't want this to reflect on the rest of your season. Have a really great season so far. It reflects that you're number 2. If it weren't for that one series against Michigan State, you'd definitely still be number 1. And Ivan Kovic had a lot of pressure on him there. It's the 2 deflections come off, and then eventually the third chance gets over to Minnesota, and they are able to put it back in. As that opening faceoff right outside the goal is going to be won by Minnesota again, as
Brody Ziemer, one of the top scorers in the conference in the country, got to stick to it in what could have been a breakaway attempt, as the Gophers now being forced out to the boards. They have indeed had the majority of the time in the offensive zone in comparison to Michigan today.
It's honestly surprising with the way that they've been playing. You'd think Michigan would be all dominant on offense.
As Gophers still on the puck, as Michigan forcing the Gophers at the boards. Picked back up by Shifsky. Shifsky now taking it himself on the breakaway. Kicks it back to Perron. Perron, nice bit of stick handling there to Perron. Hughes gets to it, no good. As Michigan with one of their most promising breakaway attempts of the game, shades of Spence's solo dash to the goal not too long ago, but no can do.
Definitely a little bit more ahead of him there. That's a lot closer to the crease than that previous one. Spence was home free. This one, a little bit closer in, but now it looks like Michigan's going to be able to go into the power play and try to build off of that momentum that they just got there.
Yeah, as Brody Ziemer is going to get called back for what looks to be a sticking penalty. As we see a replay of that moment with Luca Di Pasco just extending his body in all kinds of different directions to keep that from getting into the puck. He has played very well on the night.
Yeah, Di Pasco on his stomach gets to make the save.
As that is going to be a 2-minute hooking penalty on Brody Ziemer. Michigan going on to the power play for, I believe, is the 4th time in this game. As Perron tries to take it himself, picked back up by Spence as the Gophers attempt to dump it on, and that'll mark the elapsing of the first 30 seconds of the power play. As Hage swings back around to scoop it up, kicks it left to Hughes. Back to Perron. As we have a minute left to play in the second period, as Ray Mullen kicks to Horkoff, back to Hughes. Back to Hage from the faceoff circle. Hage to Ray Mullen. Ray Mullen tries to play it wide to Horkoff, no can do. Instead results in a rather careless turnover to Mooney, as Mooney will get it to Lim, who would have had nothing in front of him but the goal, but Horkoff manages to swing back around to recover that. Picked back up by Hage. As Hage kicks it back right to Horkoff. As Horkoff tries to control it, lose the puck. Hage wraps around, sends it back to Ray Mullen. As Hughes kicks it to his left, goes back the other way. As that's going to get kicked back to Robertson. Michigan with its last attempt, and that is going to be no can do, as that'll do it for the second period. Michigan 2, Minnesota 2, as we will go to intermission, but before that we will just do a quick period recap. Max, what are your thoughts on what was, I think, a frustrating second period for Michigan?
Well, you saw some ups, you saw some downs. That obviously the ups, Malcolm Spence goal, finally finding their way into the center of the ice, being able to get a nice shot off. And that's really been the problem, has been shot selection. Both of the teams, honestly. The one goal that Minnesota got in response really wasn't all that amazing if it weren't for the 2 deflections that came off of the knee pads of Ivan Kovic. Just a lot of pressure there, being able to crowd the ice right in front of the goal allowed them to get that off. So Michigan definitely needs to just kind of sturdy up, keep playing their game. I think they're pretty obviously dominating in terms of how their well, you said surprisingly, possession has gone in favor of Minnesota, and you wouldn't really think that the way that this is played out in front of our eyes. Michigan leading in shots. I think their shot selection has been slightly better than Minnesota, and obviously they've had a lot more power play. They've got 13 seconds more power play to work with coming in now. So just try and hunker down, keep playing their game, and then I think they'll probably still find their way out of this.
I agree, and I think Michigan has been the slightly better team on the night. I think the one detrimental aspect for the Wolverines has been on breakaways. I think Minnesota has found a lot of space open up in the goal. They found a lot of coverages just breaking down, and I think so far that is working in Minnesota's favor. Offensively, I do think both teams have been kind of similarly matched. It's just been more so a question of who's taking the better shots at the moment. Both of them could be shooting much better than they are. So, Max, any last thoughts before we go to break?
Well, I'd like to thank. I'd like to at least say a little bit of a thank you for Michael Hage for not making me look like a complete ignoramus by at least getting the assist on the period after I called him out for the goal.
Shout out Michael Hage for not
not
making Max look like an ignoramus. With that, we are going to briefly break for the second period. We will be back shortly. In the meantime, don't go anywhere. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan versus Minnesota ice hockey. Hello and welcome back to Yost Ice Arena for the third and final act of this contest right here, as we have a compelling finale. All the seeds set for a compelling finale is Michigan, Minnesota tied 2-2 after each exchanging a goal in the first period. 40 minutes down, 20 to go, right here on WCBN Sports.
Yeah, third act, we're getting Shakespearean here almost. A little play right here, 2-2.
You know,
who's the Montagues in this situation?
well, I think both sides can fit the bill of the Montagues and the Capulets, because Romeo and Juliet, the tragedies that neither of these families could have set aside their ways. Both of these teams are on level footing at the moment. Now, we're supposed to be impartial, so we can't cast particular levels of aspersion to one particular side. So I think that is a very fitting play to be referencing here. And we are the Greek chorus, bringing it all to you. As Nick Moldenauer jostled off his feet by Whipple as the puck is lodged, still Michigan's way. As Gophers now prowling the edge of Wolverines' offensive zone. Recovery by Shifsky. As Shifsky has that puck turned away by Gruba. Back to Ray Mullen now, deep in Michigan's zone. Back to Robertson. Keeps it wide, looking for Shifsky. Doesn't find him. As that's going to be called, as we hear the whistle blow.
Yeah, coming back into this, had the bit of the power play, 13 seconds left, not that much. But Michigan going to try and work that more, work their way. Power play hasn't been successful all game so far. So 0% on that against the worst penalty kill. You can't be with that.
As that face-off is going to be between Draper and Paulson. And we're going to get I think we're going to get a retake there, as I think Draper starts off his line just a second earlier than he should have. As Ray Mullen kicks it left to Shifsky. As Shifsky back to Ernest. Back to Shifsky. Lodged back by Carlson. Back to Hendrickson. As Hendrickson gets in there. Horkoff. As puck saunters back to Middlestadt, as Middlestadt arcs it wide, looking for somebody to punt it into deep. He'll find no one. As the Gophers on the puck, as they control it, trying to find an outlet for it, no can do.
Yeah, a lot of dump and change there. That dump and change actually went double for both. Just kind of let it ring around the entire rink. Both teams changing.
As we're seeing yet another dump from Minnesota. That time Mo is going to try and get to it, but he's going to have to make it work a little bit, as you see neither side necessarily being able to connect on their passing, as Nick Moldenauer tries to play it just a little bit forward, as we're seeing the puck just kind of circle the boards at the moment, as Cole McKinney for the Wolverines sends it back in the same direction. As McKinney. Offload to Ray Mullen. As Gophers puck now, Whipple on a breaker with Robertson and Ray Mullen. That's going to skate around the boards again. Back to Middlestadt. Middlestadt tries to play it to his left to Mooney as it circles around.
Not a lot of sustained possession either way for either of these teams. A couple of no-look passes that really just haven't reached anywhere, and that one ended up going into the icing call. So probably could do with a little bit of cleaning up both sides right now.
Yeah.
Looking a bit more like the start of that first period at the start of this third.
Yeah, you're seeing a little bit of uncertainty here, both sides. I think trying to play it relatively safe.
as safe as you can while you're turning it over with the passes, I guess.
As we see a puck, kind of, thanks to Moldenauer, lodges a puck that kind of hangs the crease for a little bit there. Nobody gets to it, but nobody's able to get to it. If Michigan had just been able to put an extra stick to it, that would have been right in the back, and that would have broken the deadlock back open for Michigan.
Yeah, Tyler Duke sends that shot out from wide out, over closer to the blue line. Ends up hitting into the iron, then goes almost straight up and knocks right back down. Nobody in Michigan going in to try and get there either. That's really telling that nobody's hustling to get to that puck once it's coming down to pressure at all for DePasqua.
Note, Ernestier and Draper both on opposite sides of the crease, so maybe just an extra elbow, maybe just a little bit would have opened it up just a touch more. As Clark tries to play it to Lucky, slightly overplays his own hand. As Mittelstadt from the left looking for Clark. As Lucky tries to try to check on Fantilli. That's going to go right down the boards to Hage as the puck soars in the air. Seems like we have a loose stick. We have a loose stick somewhere that's already been replaced, so the only real harm to be worried about is tripping. As now the Gophers wriggle it back inside the neutral zone, going to try and get to it for a little bit. As Hage. As still Gophers puck, as Paulson skating around the zone, looking to find somebody to open up to. As Perron tries to get a stick to it, it's kicked back. We're going to have Gophers puck again. As yet again, we're seeing just kind of stable in terms of possession, no real movement going on in terms of just the relative fluidity of the state. Both teams, sort of as you said, dump and change, not really able to get much to it, as about 6 minutes in the third period have already elapsed.
Surprising not tripping there on Rayo Mullen.
As we're going to see a penalty called on the Gophers. This is going to be on number 19, John Mittelstadt, who is going to be called for. We'll see just what the call is for, but it is
tripping on Rayo Mullen.
Looks like a tripping call on Rayo Mullen, as Minnesota, with I believe its 5th penalty of the game. Michigan yet to capitalize off a power play, but if there's any time to do it, it would be now.
It would be great to do it now for them. Really going into this, you can't let it 5 go by, especially a 5-on-3 too. That was a little bit disappointing for them, and then this will be even more disappointing if they can't capitalize on it.
As we have Clark going the other way on the penalty kill for the Gophers, but that's going to be called back, going Michigan's way.
Jimmy Clark, nice little move there. He tried.
We see the reason Clark was brought down is because of a 2-minute slashing call on who looks to be, I believe this is
Michael Hage.
Michael Hage, as the star center, is going to pick up Michigan's 2nd penalty of the game, as now both teams are playing 4-on-4 hockey. Minnesota will have about 12 minutes on Minnesota's penalty will finish first. They'll have about 12 seconds on the power play.
Not a huge advantage there, really.
As Robertson. Kicks it to Perron. Perron turns around. Nice little bit of finagling there with the stick. He's going to lose control slightly. He's going to back himself up just a little bit as we're seeing some moving on the ice. Is Dakota Raymond Mullen out, Tyler Duke in. Dump back off to Hughes. Hughes with some smooth skating, gliding down there. Kick back to Fantilli. Back to Duke. As Duke looks for Perron in the crease. Not quite going to get there as it's back to Fantilli to pick it back up. Kicked right to Perron. As Perron's going to shoot, as that puck is going to rattle around the boards again. And what we're seeing has been kind of, a very familiar sight so far to start this game off. As Moldenauer gets the puck knocked off him slightly. As Paulson now going the other way, as 4-on-4 hockey continues. 24 seconds left in Michigan's penalty. 9 seconds left of the Gophers, as Minnesota will have its man advantage soon. Although not that it will be one of great temporal significance, as Minnesota is now back to full strength. As Ernest kicks it to Ray Mullen, as Michigan's penalty is about to expire, and it does. We now see both teams at full strength, as Michigan's, what could have been a man advantage for Michigan, negated by the slashing call on Michael Hage. Both sides on full strength now with about 12 minutes left in the third period. As Ernest tries to bounce it the other end, picked up by Minnesota. As Mittelstadt looking for some. This is Luke. There's both Luke and John Mittelstadt. As Michigan's puck now with Hage. With a light touch to it that doesn't really amount to anything other than just simply bounding down the rink. As Duke goes for it, loses it. As Minnesota now with the puck in Michigan, dangerously close to the crease, with Ivan Kovic squaring up his body to answer. But still Minnesota, as Mo sort of tries to turn to invert his body, but it's back the other way as Shifsky wrangles it loose. Kicks it back to Barnett. As Barnett unloads it behind the goal.
Pretty solid contest by McKinney there whenever they saw Ivan Kovic having to get pressured by those multiple Minnesota offensive players.
As McKinney tries to get to it, it's wriggled loose by Pritchard. Pritchard back to Whipple. As Hendrickson from Minnesota tries to get to it. Back to Whipple by the blue line. As Whipple tries to load it to Rombach. Great steal from Spence. And even if that isn't entirely significant, he does manage to knock Whipple back way into his own territory. That's a nice bit of hustle, some defense there from the freshman winger. As it's going back Minnesota's way now. As Lamb tries to pick up another great steal from Ray Mullen, who's going to take it himself on the breakaway. Dumped left to Spence. Spence is going to shoot. There's a couple too many Golden Gopher bodies in the crease to keep it away. But
yeah, nice little opportunity there for Spence and Ray Mullen. Spence having a great game today, honestly, for moving into his breakaways and almost 2 goals.
Perron with a nice bit of smooth skating there. Perron takes on the breakaway himself off DiPasco's pads. Park with a second chance opportunity, no good. As the puck is now back Minnesota's way, Gophers still pinned in their own zone.
Disadvantage Park there for shooting right there. Just couldn't find his way around the stick, went a little wide.
Minnesota dumps the puck the other way now. As now going back Michigan's ways, Hughes tries to get the shot off. That is going to be as we have already 11 minutes of elapsed, but it's been a quick-moving third period so far, even taking into account the 2 penalties. As time running out for both teams, Michigan for its sake, for its own sake, for the sake of the Big Ten standings, Michigan does want to stay as a top 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Michigan cannot afford to drop another point by letting this game go to overtime.
Yeah, definitely not.
The Wolverines do have the cushion of Penn State already being down, I believe, 3-0 to Notre Dame.
Surprising game out
in
there.
what is a very surprising start to that game down for the Nittany Lions and the Fighting Irish. But Michigan wants to keep matters into its own hands. If they win tonight in regulation, and if Penn State is either unable to come back or needs overtime to win it, Michigan cannot be surpassed as number 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament and will be hosting 2 tournament games, at least up to 2 tournament games right here at Yost Ice Arena.
Yeah, big advantage there for Michigan. They'd really want that to be at Yost. It's just, you got to invade into Pasco. DePasco's just been excellent as always, as he's always been against Michigan. We talked about it earlier. His performances against his team are really great.
As Moldenauer finds Hage just about halfway through the rink. Hage is going to send that harmlessly the other way. As Robertson tries to find Draper. That's going to bounce right off Draper's back. As Minnesota pinning the Wolverines to the boards as Hage tries to get to the puck but is knocked off it. Off it, the breakthrough now going Minnesota's way. As Paulson for the Gophers tries to get a weak shot on there. As Max, what you noted about the Gophers' selection of shots hasn't necessarily improved in this game so far.
No, but that opportunity right there, it was almost scary there for Ivan Kovic. Puck just kind of floating above on the top of the netting. Almost got way down in front of Ivan Kovic.
As Schock tries to get a shot in there. It was looking for Shusky just outside of the crease, but isn't quite going to find him where it would be most optimal for him to connect. As McKinney to Schock. As you see, I think Schock throwing up a check to try and lodge Paulson off the puck. That's a check so great that it was heard around the world, or at least around the arena, as you could hear the boards here at Yost Ice Arena rattle with the level of force that Schock put into it.
Yeah, I heard up here. It sounds like an anvil dropping.
Yeah. 7 minutes to go in the third period. 7 minutes until overtime. As Malcolm Spence. As that puck is going to be picked off by TJ Hughes. Shot around the boards. As I think Malcolm Spence gets to it with DePasco's back door open, but no good. As Spence kicks it to Asher Barnett. Barnett shoots. Barnett scores! As DePasco steps off his pace to leave the back door wide open there. Barnett with the 1-2. Easily collects the pass, fires it in. On Michigan Senior Night, it's a glimpse of its future that solidifies its present, potentially.
That's a really great statement there. Nice closer. Asher Barnett, great one-time shot there to really come off. The pass coming off of the stick of, looks like Malcolm Spence. Malcolm Spence heading up to Asher Barnett. Nice one-time, 1-2, as you said. And that's routine. That's great. That's what you want to see whenever you're trying to dominate a team like Minnesota. You want to see routine plays achieved routinely. Little Tomlinism thrown in there for you.
As Pittsburgh sports fan here at the club's WCBN's resident Pittsburgh sports fan imbues us with some wisdom from the recently departed head coach.
R.I.P.
Max, I know you eagerly await the beginning of the Mike McCarthy era.
Oh, I'm sure I am.
As we're seeing a whistle, we see a blown whistle there for what looks like, I guess, or no, sorry, Michigan is going to end up on the penalty kill there as we see Kenyon Draper take a spot in the penalty box. As it looks like we're seeing a potential review there for penalty. I don't think this is not on the goal. I don't think so.
No, this is on the ice now.
This is a current call currently on the ice for something that the referee just spotted.
Reviewing for a current major. Or a potential major, I should say. Yeah, going back to that goal, it's definitely what you want to see. I talked about moving the puck cross ice, trying to get those looks where you can get them close side or you can move it far side, making DiPasquo have to move pole to pole, and that's really what they did there, moving that one time around to get that easy shot off.
As Kenyon Draper is going to see 5 minutes, which will eventually rule him out of most of the game's final third for a game misconduct.
A 5-minute major. It's going to be a big test for Michigan going up against what we talked about, one of the best power plays in the country. You think they could stay up to the task and keep up with him for about 5 minutes? Without Kenyon Draper.
Minnesota struggled all season long, but there is a sizable array of talent. You have pretty much top 6 lines entirely made up of NHL prospects, which is what makes their struggle this season all the more surprising. And that it is this unit that Michigan is going to have to defend on the power play from in the closing half of this game. As Minnesota power play, first shot on there looking dangerous there, as I believe Lamb gets a shot in that Ivan Kovic tips away with his glove, but the Gophers forechecking unit showing some impressive results right there.
Yeah, save has been heavy focus on knee pads for Ivan Kovic. Really needs to glove more of these to keep from these rebounds coming into the Gopher sticks.
As now we see Ziemer with a driving shot and looking to extend just outside the crease. Duke and Ivan Kovic say no can do. Fantilli. As Fantilli and Ernest try and poke that away, pinning middle shot just outside the blue line. As LJ Mooney hovering around the faceoff circle, as Ziemer was looking to catch Ivan Kovic at the back door, no can do. Shot wide, arcing around the rink.
Yeah, Ziemer's stick not curved enough there, I guess. That's when you got to work out in the locker room.
As the Gophers being forced out to the boards, being pinned inside the neutral zone, now dropping back into their own defensive zone as Michigan holding structure with a minute and a half elapsed on this penalty. A little over a minute and a half elapsed on this penalty kill as it is. As that's Hendrickson, the Gophers looking to work the back door right now. Ivan Kovic turns his entire body around to make sure that he uses his pads. Wolverines dump the puck the other way. First penalty killing unit is off the ice as 2 minutes have elapsed.
Yeah,
2 minutes 50 left.
Second chance at the post for the Gophers there. Both look pretty good. Ivan Kovic got to that second one. First one just a miss on the wide.
As Minnesota now, as Ziemer and Ziemer gets a diving shot in there. Middlestat tries to pick it up for the second chance opportunity. Fantilli and Moldenauer get to it. As Lamb tries to get to it. Lutke too, but Ivan Kovic throws the entire weight of his body on there, goes throwing him to the ground. Keeps the puck out of harm's way, keeps from even entering the crease, bleeding just a couple more valuable seconds off the penalty kill for the Wolverines. As Shifsky tries to send it the other way, it goes back to Middlestat, back to Lutke. As we're seeing some more switch up on the lines. As less than 2 minutes remaining on the penalty kill, entering the final 3 minutes of the period. Now Mooney. Mooney to Middlestat. Back to Ziemer. Kicks it back to Mooney. Ivan Kovic gets a stick after it.
Great job by Ivan Kovic.
Dumps it way down the ice. As just a minute 20 left on the penalty kill. As less than a minute remaining now. Paulson. This is back to Gruba. Playing the point. Back to Paulson from the face-off circle. Back to Moore. Arcs it wide. As Hughes dumps that the other way. Back to DePasco. 40 seconds remaining on the penalty kill. Michigan almost at full strength. They've seen out 4.5 minutes of this penalty kill. One penalty kill for the rest of your regular season. For your hopes in the Big Ten tournament for your senior class. Can you do it? 30 seconds now. Minute 45 left on the game clock. 20 seconds. Minnesota having to dig into its own zone for the puck. Duke and Moldenauer. Moldenauer hooks it just a little bit further. Picked back up by Ziemer. Back to Middlestat. Middlestat. Moldenauer with the necessary poke to it. 5 seconds to go. 4, 3, 2, 1, and Michigan is back at full strength, successfully blunting the effect of Keenan Draper's absence. Michigan kills off 5-minute major penalty, but the danger's not averted yet. As Malcolm Spence wrangles it the other way, Minnesota half pulled DePasco. They need anything, and there you go. There's the icing on the cake. As the puck gets poked way back the other direction, Cole McKinney wraps around side of the post, taps in the empty netter. He shoots, he scores, Michigan leads 4-2.
Cole McKinney really just icing the game there. Easy empty net, just flick it in. Put a lot of power into that. That really shows the authority that he had in there.
Right now, just last night it was the opposite script for the Gophers. You know, Brody Ziemer's empty netter in the dying seconds of the game kills it off for the Gophers. Tonight, it's the opposite story. As Michigan, as the clock winds down on Michigan's regular season, the Wolverines with the puck way deep in the zone. The Gophers trying to dig it out, flicking it up the other end. As 40 seconds to go. Puck the other end. DePasco pulled yet again. As Valentini to the empty net. His was the icing on the cake. Michigan put a cherry on the top with another empty net with 32 seconds left on the clock.
Another assist by Malcolm Spence on that goal. I know it's empty net, but still, just a really solid performance by him today.
As Minnesota are going to have one last face-off attempt. The children of Yost, they're clapping, they're cheering. They know what's coming. Both teams know what's coming. As Michigan needed a win tonight badly to make sure that they would have at least 2 games to host in the Big Ten tournament. They've come in. Last night didn't go to plan. But tonight they race back a performance that doesn't always look particularly stable, as Looks like we're going to see some late game theatrics. We're seeing some punches getting thrown on the ice. Refs throwing themselves in the middle of it. Tempers finally flaring at the end of a pretty even-keeled 2-game series, all things considered.
Heavy tempers here. Helmets are off. Let's see who's involved there. Got like Hendrickson for the Gophers, looks like. Up against Tyler Duke from Michigan. Tyler Duke waving to the crowd as he's going off and getting exited.
Tyler Duke with
man of the people.
In his final ever regular season game as a Michigan Wolverine, he picks a perfect way to end out. Ejected in the dying seconds of the game, hypes up the crowd on his way out. Standing ovation for one of Michigan's captains.
I think that's got to be a dream way to go off as a D1 hockey player.
If you can't end by icing a game with an overtime winner, I think ending with an ejection as you cheer on your home fans, with the game having been clinched in your last regular season game, I think that's a pretty solid consolation prize.
I would absolutely take that as my way out. Wait here now, just kind of delaying the inevitable. 15 seconds left.
As Michigan's senior class, Tyler Duke, Luca Fantilli, Josh Ernessy, Keenan Draper, TJ Hughes. There's plenty of work to be done, but in their last ever regular season home game as Wolverines, they'll end it on the highest of high notes. 3 seconds to go. 2 seconds to go. 1 second to go. Buzzer sounds. Time's up. Michigan wins 4-2 in its regular season finale. As that'll do it from Yost Ice Arena for this regular season. But rest be assured, there will be at least one, and very likely 2 home games left here for Wolverines fans. A Big Ten tournament quarterfinal is confirmed. A Big Ten tournament semifinal is very, very likely. As
Michigan is going to look to try and go up against the Spartans in the Big Ten final, most likely. Very likely,
yes. As maybe not the end of season run-in that Michigan would have liked after building on a commanding 6-3 victory against Penn State on Valentine's Day 2 weeks ago. Nonetheless, Michigan has gotten 2 wins out of its final 4 games. Michigan is out of play for the Big Ten regular season crown. They remain the only team in the conference that is yet to win it, I believe. As
if you can believe that.
It's effectively become their white whale at this point. But nonetheless, Michigan will close off the regular season with a win. They will enter the postseason as still one of the favorites to bring home their first national title since 1998. After a quick exhibition matchup against Simon Fraser University, still in Ann Arbor next Thursday, Michigan's road paths to their 9th, I believe, national championship will commence on March 11th against an opponent to be determined in the Big Ten tournament quarterfinal right here at Yost Ice Arena. So if there's any comfort to myself as a graduating senior covering Michigan hockey for the Daily and doing a little bit of double duty here to any of the any University of Michigan seniors who are in the student section tonight or listening to this call, rest be assured, your time at Yost is not quite up yet, and in fact, things are only about to get better. As we see celebratory stick taps. Max, just give me your thoughts on what you saw tonight. And what do you think it means for the Wolverines going into the postseason?
Well, I think it's a good response to yesterday's game. You came into today a little bit disappointed, obviously. You 4-2 lost to unranked Minnesota, who's really struggled on the season. And head coach Bob Motzka has done really great in Ann Arbor over his 7 years with Minnesota. I think it's 9-2-4 record in Ann Arbor. So obviously you can hang your hat on you finally got a loss on that there. Now 9-3-4, I believe. But being able to respond to the 4-2 win of your own, cap it off with that nice goal at the end, the cherry on top, a little icing on the cake. Send off the seniors in the right way, get a win. And you're going to go look into trying to make it out of the Big Ten tournament with another victory, go into the final, most likely face Michigan State, and hope to win again. So you've shown that you can beat Michigan State, obviously. So having confidence going into the tournament is what's going to be important for them. I think really great performances from some of the younger guys, like Malcolm Spence had a great game today. 3 points, I think, between him, 1 goal, 2 assists. So it's a promising look for the team going forward and in the tournament and in the next few years.
Absolutely, yes. As you said, Michigan has enjoyed one of its best regular seasons in a long time this season, leading the USCHO coaches poll for much of the regular season. Now they had, and after a slight late season stumble, losing the duel in the D, losing to Wisconsin and Minnesota in major upsets, the Wolverines will still likely drop probably no lower than 3rd or 4th in the USCHO poll. Will still be heavy favorites to win the national championship after a season which they broke some early program records early season and continued that scorching pace, even weathering the loss of goaltender Jack Ivankovic. But the Wolverines, they've had great regular season teams. They've had great regular season players. They've had Quinn Hughes. They've had Zach Werenski. They've had Dylan Larkin. They've had Adam Fantilli. They've had Hobie Baker winners. They've had NHL superstars. And none of that in the last 30 years has been able to bring home a national title. And at this point, that is what Michigan is going to be graded on for the season to be a success. Michigan has been to Frozen Fours. They've lost in Frozen Fours. The wait for a national title is long. And if there's any group that's going to end it, this group looks like they have a very good chance at doing it. That'll do it here from the Yost Ice Arena for tonight and for this Michigan hockey regular season. I've been Vihaan Easwar, putting on the headset for the first and probably final time for Michigan hockey this season, but I will still be here nonetheless, covering the team for the Michigan Daily. This is Max Wood, who will certainly be here more, and we'll certainly have many more nights here from this broadcast booth. That'll do it from here for WCBN Sports tonight. I've been Vihaan Easwar. He's been Max Wood. As always, I'm going to leave you with a good night and a go blow.